Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Roach Wiggle, January 18th, 2024. Maybe a shorter wiggle. I had some basement drain backing upping issues again. Just days after I told Angela, hey, I'm going to buy some of that foaming drain clearer ahead of time because usually I have problems in the spring. And so I bought like a 10-pound thing of it on Amazon, and it was supposed to arrive today. And of course, last night is when the issues occurred. So went to my neighbor, got the huge drain snake down the stairs. Whole ordeal, but the drains are cleared now. So that's how it's going. Thank you for asking, Elsie. Nothing satisfying like unclogging a drain. It's very satisfying, but the water and the disruption to the schedule and all that stuff does not sit well with me. So anyways, we are this might be one of the this might be the last stream for 2 weeks, because next weekend I'll still be on vacation. The following week, our lovely new website overhaul programmer and I may have a discussion session on some features and stuff. I may take that day to work on the back end of the site happening. Why is it keep occurring? Because it seems to be a thing on this street. It's roots and whatnot from the plants by the street. I would blame it on my plantings, but every neighbor on this side of the block has the issue, so it's probably something that happened when they were putting the pipes in the outbound non-sanitary sewer. Maybe the diameter is smaller out by the street than it is up by the house or something. But I do know the neighbor 3 houses down, since you have to pay for your own line stuff if you get any of that work done. 2 years ago, I think they had their whole thing replaced. They dug up the whole end of the driveway and redid all the piping and stuff like that. So it's a bunch of things, and I despise it, but hopefully it will not be too big of an issue for much longer. So let's see, we got Alan's here, Anthony Green, LC, Exotic Wilderness, Jonathan Green, Farouche is here too. We had saw a lot of you guys at the auction over the weekend. Bid channel question discussion. Oh yeah, we were going to talk about that. I can't remember exactly what we were going to talk about. Asking questions there. I'm fine with. I'm more okay with questions being asked there than I think I let off. The only thing is, I'm not going to type responses because it'll just mess with my flow and mess with I'm not going to type responses to questions in the bid channel. If we allow questions to continue to be asked there, I will have to answer them on the stream. It's the only way that's going to be very viable without me typing a billion things. I have enough typing to do during auction stuff anyways. So the bid channel question thing, probably allow it, but I'm going to have to only reply here. So some people will be asking questions there, and if they aren't in the live stream, it's just going to have to be too bad because there's only so much I can do with the situation. If you haven't, you can... is that a question? Is that a statement? If you haven't, you can ship the Simon... I can finally ship them. I had them slated for when I got back from vacation because the auction thing was very much so sprung upon me. I am still sticking to the everything that was scheduled to go out after the vacation is going out then, but I am going to be hauling butt to get all the auction stuff out before then because it needs to be removed from its expo containers, which is the whole point of doing the auction. They make a specific question channel for people that you have to answer. People not. For people, not that you have to answer them. The problem there is it kind of has to be in the same channel because I don't want to be flipping back and forth between channels. It's much easier for them to just be asked in there. So I think we'll probably stick with that moving into the spring auction when that happens. I think that's going to be in late April this year. The Bugapalooza has grown to be its own thing. I am no longer concerned about competing with the Tinley Park audience. It's its own thing now. It's its own organism, and so it's fine if it happens on its own time. Although I'll probably still make the fall one to try and beat out the Tinley Park thing. So, but there's another purpose for this Roach Wiggle this week. It is a little bit more focused than the general. Is that I'm trying to get some answers to questions about the website to our lovely programmer, Snyder Programming LLC, and I asked him before he went off to help some kids learn how to shoot guns. What are his biggest questions heading forward for the site, the purposes, the back end, all this stuff. So I'm going to just go through and answer these questions here because this is the last time I'm going to have a good amount of time to sit down and talk about this before the vacation, which is looking like it's going to be a doozy because the weather, Destin is looking like it's going to have extreme weather. So we may reroute that part of the trip and go somewhere else. So we may skip Destin. We may have to skip the Gulf area and go to somewhere in Alabama or Georgia or something instead. We don't know. We're kind of leaving. It's gonna be open ended because the weather could change for what's that going to be 4 or 5 days from now, 5-6 days from now. So we'll see. It's already warming up in Michigan actually too. I think we're out of the crazy cold. Checking the temperature right now. It's going to go back down a bit tomorrow. It's going to be high 20s and low in the single digits. And the following day, same thing. And then we're going to get a pretty heavy warm up. It's going to be in the high 30s, high to low 30s for a while. It looks like if that holds true. So a very mild winter with just this one crazy weather spell that we just got through. And I do not regret holding off from shipping this week. That was definitely the call. The weather has been insane the last 5-ish days here. So, but yes, also if it's over 0F, I'm happy, yeah. Or those Pertinent Americana doing that I sent you in October. That was in October? That was all the way back in October? Are you sure it wasn't November? It can't be. It couldn't have been October. Right? It was November, right? Or I'm going crazy. Time is moving way too fast. I'd have to check the emails to confirm. They're fine. I threw them in one of my 1,000,000% escape-proof enclosures, and I just kind of toss food in when I do the husbandry, and that's just all that I really need to do with Periplaneta Americana. When I get new colonies of it, is just they're so consistent. You love them because of that consistency, of course. So maybe it was November. Yeah, I don't think it was October. If it was, I would have a sudden existential crisis. Although I'm realizing it's been like 4 months since the last auction. Tempest Fujit. Yes, that's correct. Chain. Time is subjective, so I wasn't speeding, officer. I think that when I cut back my caffeine consumption and get on a different lifestyle when I move, time is going to slow down a bit. It has in the past for me. My brain is basically on every day must go as fast as possible so that I can get closer to the goal of not being here. By not being here, I don't mean death. I mean not being in this house. So I don't actually mind the days going by fast as long as I'm keeping up on the things that I need to do. It's just life. It's just how it is. should consider ourselves fortunate enough we get several decades to experience it instead of just one or a couple of years. When do you leave for your trip? That would be on Monday. We will leave after. So on Sunday night, we're going to be all packed up for the trip. All of the orders are going to be packed and laid out, probably in the living room. And then when Monday morning comes, we're going to blitz packing all the orders up because they need fresh heat packs and stuff. So we're going to blitz getting all the orders thrown in boxes, getting them out pretty much as early as possible on Monday, and then we're off. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to, if somebody has DOAs or something with a box, I'm not going to be able to, talk to them or resolve it until after the vacation. But I gotta get away from everything, guys. Kyle, do you think little Kenyan roaches would do well with the Leptorhina javanica? My worry is little Kenyans wouldn't like the dryness of the javanica's enclosure. They should do fine. You shouldn't be keeping javanicas completely bone dry either. Poor Kyle, says Jonathan Green. Yeah, I need some time to not be responsible for anything is what I need, basically. Yeah. It would be easier if I wasn't. If I had a full farm homestead, it would be a lot easier because you can set things up for long durations of stuff. For example, my rabbits need to be at least checked on every 2 days, and usually that means food and water replacement. And if I had a homestead and I have the rabbit setups that I wanted, they would have just a glob of hay and a water bowl that's out of the way so they don't risk tipping it over, getting debris in it and all that stuff. And they can always go out and eat snow, assuming these conditions. So it's easier to have more stuff in more space. It's a lot easier. Are you going to raise bobwhite on the farm? Michigan's weird about native mammals, especially game birds and stuff like that. And so I know people raise bobwhite in Michigan, but I also know that the even if it's like a domestic strain or something, the Department of Natural Resources can be very weird about that stuff. And so I maybe if I called them and I got a definitive answer that I could use as a defense, if it were ever used against me that I was keeping Texas A&M bobwhites, I would start doing it. But otherwise, I have Coternyx. I'm actually picking up some more Coternyx from a friend on the way north from this vacation. So the tail end of it's going to be micro business because I have to run by and pick that stuff up. Alan says, "Oh, and since we aren't meeting next week, you don't have to bring stuff down." And if if you decided to meet up with us, Alan, in Destin, if the weather changed, then we can still do that. It's not like that affects that. I get back on the 20th, that Saturday, the 27th. We will get back probably very late in the day. Do you still have the stupid Florida chickens? Do not call them stupid. They are incredible. And yes, I do. And I am scheming ways to easily create a bunch more of them this summer, including throwing up some temporary enclosures at Angela's place if I can. Stupid affectionate. One of them is quite affectionate. The rest of them are kind of feral. Not that feral. They come for food, and they tolerate my presence and the dogs. But I want to create more of them, and just kind of the females go broody very easily, but it's a lot easier when you have a lot of space and they can go find their little coogie hole, as my father would say, to make their nest in, and then they have a nice little protected area that they picked. It's a lot easier. And in my current situation with the number of birds and all the ducks and stuff, it's just too many eggs. They start laying in eggs that birds are trying to sit on and incubate stuff. Are you going to collect more chickens in the Keys? Probably not, unless I was somehow able to catch some chicks. I think I'm good on Florida chickens for now, unless again it was just an easy opportunity, just right in front of me, that I could collect some, and we were heading back. There's a lot of ifs there. I'm quite content for the moment. So now I would hello Hylas. I just saw Hylas popped up. What's the context on the Florida chickens? The Florida chickens are from feral chickens on Key Largo that we collected the eggs out of a nest behind the Publix. Yeah, the Publix on Key Largo. We just found a nest sitting out. Yeah, Alan's sort of saying that. And did we replace them with? I don't think we replaced the eggs. I thought Samson gave the eggs to a homeless person or something. The ones from the store. Anyway, so we collected the eggs behind the Publix. There was like the back alleys where the trucks drive to deliver stuff, and there was like a big I don't know. I'm not good at tropical trees. Some sort of large tree with buttressing roots and all kinds of crags and stuff. And we went poking around for bugs back there and stuff. But there was just sitting out, a little bit tucked behind this tree, still very obvious, to a human. But you'd think they would hide them better from like potential predators, like I don't know, cats or eagles or something. And there's just this little nest in the little the notch in the tree roots. And it was like, well, this is going to make trying to, collect some of these to bring back a lot easier. Really, the perfect storm. And they candled them, and they hadn't started developing yet, which is like, this is great. There was no hen sitting on them, but it was great. So we brought them back, and Samson incubated them, and then at some point, I passed them all to me because I was the one who really wanted them. And and now I have them, and I'm working with them, and I like them a lot. And it's gonna be my main chicken breed, I think, moving into the future. They do lay quite a few eggs. The eggs are small, but they have good firm shells, and they have good foraging behaviors, and they're just basically wild chickens from the Keys. So did you know they would look as ridiculous as they do? No, I had no idea. We just saw what chickens were there. Is a good mix of colors and body shapes and stuff. There's who knows all the genetics that go into the feral population. There's probably some recent influxes, but there's certainly a lot of genetics from the past, just the past Caribbean chicken genetics, fighting, utility, drought, whatever, all kinds of stuff is mixed in there. So when do you think the overhaul will be finished? God willing, March. Again, the data stuff's all done. I just have to do flavor text and do some picking of pages and decide, I'm going to add to this page. We're going to get rid of this page in terms of larger categories, tweaking some paragraphs and stuff. A lot of that, it's probably one solid sun up to sundown day's worth of work to do that. Flavor text is going to be a lot more. And I actually was talking with Chris, we don't need to have the flavor text when the site goes live. We have all this data, all the pricing's done, all this stuff is done and ready to go. And I can just add flavor text at my leisure. Again, maybe take a couple of days to just work specifically on that. But a lot of it is Chris is doing custom coding for the sort features, the search stuff with trying to exclude the blog posts and basically pull up. When you search for like Panchlora, you're going to get all the species pages, and then below that will be stuff like the blog posts or anything else that's tangentially related but not exactly what you're looking for. Will you be recycling any of the flavor text? I'm going to pull up all the old flavor text, all the old articles when I write the new stuff. But I do want to rehash it. I do want to give a different spin, and a lot of it I would like to update with more experience. And that's about it. It all needs to be updated, and so I can know things like I killed my whole colony when I did this or when I didn't do this, and that tells more than just the data points that will be available. So so hopefully before I leave for the Florida trip, the site will be up with flavor text, etc. JoJo images will be probably another whole day of work from sunup to sundown to get all of the, just from the first photo shoot images, in addition to any other pictures that I want to add, which I probably will not add until some other date. But the JoJo pics are great. So and that's it's staying a lot longer than expected. But again, I was not able to take December off entirely, unfortunately. Um, but that's just how things are, and so it'll just be a little bit more of a wait. Jordan Henderson says, off tide, but dude, Neo style Pyromophilia thrive better with a 50-50 humidity grader being kept dry with occasional mistings. You can keep them 50-50 substrate humidity, but the air humidity needs to be sky high. They need like from my current experience with them and extreme success for a little bit over a year now, I think. It's very high humidity or low airflow. It is easy to, you can just keep them alive if they're in a dry enclosure, but they will not thrive. You won't get healthy ooths. They'll just sort of burn out over time. They're in that tank over there with the heat light on it, and there's a polycarb covering like 80% of the top to keep all the moisture, and there's condensation at the back, and they're doing phenomenal. Probably the best that Harlequins have ever done for me, even over a longer period of time, is that colony right now. So no, they dry is out of the question. And again, if that's something I mentioned on the website in a flavor text or something, that's one of the reasons why stuff needs to be rewritten, is situations like this where I will say like, do not do this, or definitely do this, and the whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to ramble a bit answering Chris's questions about the website. And also, if anybody else has any questions as you're hearing these and you think that they may contribute to getting things up and running more smoothly, let me know. So Chris was asking the primary purpose of the site. Where a choice needs to be made, do we lean educational or sales? Alternatively, a list of priorities. So the primary goal, if I have to pick between the two of those, is going to be educational. If you were to hold a gun to my head and ask me to pick which of those two options, primarily educational with the presentation. The bulk of the information on the pages is going to be educating people on what I found to be the needs for different species, where different strains come from, all that stuff. So the website is going to have more of an educational lean. With that being said, I'm hoping that, as I've always invested in, that being a source for all this information will also make it very enticing for people to purchase from me, because I know what I'm talking about, and you're getting what something is being sold to you as. So it's kind of a mix in that, it is a mix in that respect. But there's not going to be a cart system and this other stuff. There's going to be pricing on every page with availability updated in real time according to this spreadsheet. But that's sales is not. This is not being created as a site to sell things. It's being created as a site to educate people on how to take care of different bugs that I'm working with when you buy them from me, presumably, and also to preserve the information about where stuff came from the wild, from other keepers, who made what, etc. And so that's really my goal. Thanks to everybody, like the folks who are in the live stream right now, all the people at the auctions, all customers, etc. I am beyond the point where I must sell bug now, because I need money to sell bug and keep bug. We are fortunately well past that point, and now the site can shift gears to a different purpose. Not that Roach Crossing was ever. I mean, I started the company to sell bugs, but my my goal is not selling things per se. Obviously, I need to keep the lights on, and I need to keep money for my own, for my existence. Not just about feeding the bugs. I need to eat too, and then also money to buy more bugs and have chances to work with things that people might not otherwise get to work with, or that are too expensive for people to hazard the risk of trying and then failing with. So you are helping people's roaches not cross into the afterlife. Thank you. That the stupid emoji thing here cuts off the ends of everybody's sentences. How do we not have a better interface for this, YouTube? Come on. Honestly, I always thought that was the best way to do things. Basically, an online zoo where you can take home what you like for a fee of course and after research. So it's sort of that line of thinking that made me think maybe in the future I could even, I don't know how this would work, but try to reformat Roach Crossing as a non-profit. But I know that's asking for a lot of things that I'm not informed or prepared to deal with versus just being an LLC. So, but anyway, so that's that. That's why Chris with the pages and stuff. Why maybe I'll show one of my crude drawings here to everybody. I don't know if I showed the crude drawings to everybody. But we'll start at the species page level of stuff. This is kind of how I like things to be arranged for the website. So you've got this is again very rough draft, but this is what I'm really hoping for. Is we have Latin name, locality name, strain name, and then at the bottom of all that the common name, and that these will be what I've written there, auto condense from missing fields. So if there's no locality, or maybe it's maybe I don't need the auto condensing. Maybe I'll just put none for common names, etc. I don't know. So, but the idea is that this whole page can be generated by pulling the data that is in my master Excel sheets, basically. So when I put a new line into the Excel sheet, it will automatically create a new page on Roach Crossing with all of these fields filled in when that information is accessible from the Excel sheet. So if there's no picture, it'll probably just show a no picture found, or a picture coming soon, or whatever. Species stats, I haven't determined the order of importance, but I have determined which ones are going to be sortable here. For example, you don't need to know that you're looking at a large roach species, which you wanted to see when you were sorting through roaches. You want to know, I want a large roach. I want a microscopic roach. Here is where that will be quantified. So it'll give the measurements in millimeters for the adults, for the hatchlings, etc. And this will just be a big chunk of stats right here. And then here, there'll be a primary picture for everything. But then there will be a bunch of other pictures. So maybe a habitat picture, maybe an enclosure picture, maybe a picture where I caught them doing an interesting behavior and I got a picture of it, etc. And then below that will be the pricing / availability. And then finally at the bottom beneath all of this will be all this additional information. Pulled it up. I thought it was a character sheet at first. D&D has warped my mind. I love it. I'm seeing a lot of positive responses to this, and that's good. Not to toot my own horn, but I figured this would be an excellent way to display this information and to restructure the site. And keep in mind, Every single thing on the site will have a page like this. Every strain of Armadillidium vulgare will have a page like this. Every strain of Periplaneta americana, a picture like this. Everything, every unique entity will get its own page with all this information. A person, will you be changing the default no species photo to something else? Yeah, maybe, probably. Anthony Green says this is going to be such a quality resource once it's done. Fingers crossed things transition smoothly. That is all in Mr. Snyder's hands. Again, this is going to require, as he said, some of it's like, oh yeah, this is easy. We could change from WordPress to this, or we could do that. And I'm just sort of like, I just want it to work. That's about it. But he also mentioned that should he spontaneously expire, having it approachable that somebody that's not him could pick it up and maintain it and fix problems that occur, etc. Hooray for pictures, yes. I do want to have more pictures of things, and hopefully this will make it easier, because what I can do is, let's see, I don't have a picture of Archimandrita species Panama City. Let's see, here's a picture that that Jojo took. So in the Excel document, I can go to the line for that species of roach, and at the end of it, there'll be a column that says like macro photo or fancy photo or some other way to denote it was taken by Jojo or a macro photographer or something. And then there will be a file name in there, like, I don't know, like Archimandrita fancy.png or whatever. And then this will reference the Excel document. And however we have to route this. I'm not the best with computer stuff, but the Excel document will direct whatever is pulling that information to the website to the folder on my computer, within the folder that the Excel document's in, whatever, that contains Archimandrita fancy.png, and it will automatically pull it up and put it in its appropriate place on the page or in the list of pictures, of additional pictures here. And that will save me so much time and make things so much easier to update, to just be able to edit things in an Excel sheet or a spreadsheet, whatever, and also to put pictures in a folder and just have it do that instead of me manually uploading everything and resizing and all this stuff. It will go here with the designated resize size, whatever. In this space, it will have a space to occupy. I really like how the formatting isn't off to look at and doesn't put the pricing front and center. Again, the pricing is important for selling the bugs. There's no doubt about that. But not as important as this information, what you guys see, and then, of course, all of this information here. And then this, somebody who's just like, oh, I don't care about roaches. I just need a purple roach for my novelty Australasian smuggled in geckos or something. Okay, you can just ignore the flavor text here. You've got all the information you need here to inform your sale. And maybe if you end up growing a soul, you can go down here and read the extra information. So lineage tracing, there will be, again, there will be information in the species stats about where I got it from, and then any information on where it originated. If there's more changes of hands, it's going to be probably wrapped into the flavor text, etc. stuff here. Will you be doing your own image hosting? I know a lot of old sites and forum threads have had important images vanish into the ether. I'm pretty sure Roach Crossing does its own image hosting right now. I am not an expert at the stuff. I just, when my domain subscription, whatever, comes due, I just shut up and pay the money, and the site has not crashed for me uploading photos yet. So I assume that means I'm already doing image hosting, and I'm also imagining it's going to get to be quite the, with a lot of quality pictures, it's going to end up being quite a few things being held on the Roach Crossing server, however that works for you computer nerds out there. And so be it. If I end up having to pay more money for hosting every month, I'll just put a special thing up at the auction and say, hey, this is for paying for the hundreds of photos you see on Roach Crossing. This particular item is to pay that bill. So, anyways, so that's the individual pages. Before I go on to the next thing, I'm going to answer Chris's next question of what sort of interaction do you want with visitors? Is searching adequate? Is there something else visitors should be able to do? I have no intention of having a bunch of scroll through the image to find this or do that or click here. Maybe they'll be on the homepage. Maybe there'll be a link to, if I get an Instagram or something going, there'll be a link there. There'll be a link to the YouTube channel. There'll be all that stuff. But the interactions I'm looking for is that people will come to the website and be like, oh, wow, when I was back in 2008, I really wanted to get some green banana roaches. I wonder if those are still around. Let me type that in here. And they'll type in green banana roach in the search bar and be taken to a page that has blah, 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 searches matching green banana roach. And they'll see, oh, there's Panchlornivia. Oh, here's the species hobby. Oh, here's all this stuff with all the profiles. And then if they were to continue scrolling through the results, at the bottom of things, they may see blog posts that say, oh, yeah, this used to be this, and here's a little bit more about that, and here's what Kyle's thinking about this, and blah, blah, blah. So that's one thing, is the searchability off of just a blind lead. So that's kind of for the average Joe. Oh, this is the site that sells cockroaches. Well, do they have hissing cockroaches for sale? And they'll type that in and be taken to all the pages matching for hissing cockroaches or Groundfodorina or whatever. So that's one of two big interactions here. The other interaction is this sort feature, which will be, I have not figured out how many sub-selections of this more complex sort feature there will be, but it seems like separating it into major taxa is the way to go, even if I don't have 100 species of something, for example, for now at least. When you go to look for, say, oh, well, I want a purple striped roach that's found in Asia and has babies that are or has adults that are tiny and blah blah blah, that whole stuff, that you can put those into this sort function, and you can get, again, I think we said in real time, Chris, a generated list of the species profiles that match those criteria, again, referencing that Excel sheet. And so that's going to be very handy and very nice for something like roaches and isopods, where there's hundreds of things to search through. But I think that I'll probably want to keep that framework even for things where there aren't hundreds of things to look at. So this is when you click on the for sale link or wherever you go to the for sale stuff. This is what I like it to look like, with sort of these large rectangular whatever things showing the major taxonomic divisions of organism and other stuff like the supplies that you can click on. So you come to the site and you say, oh, cockroaches for sale. This is all the stuff he's got for sale. I'll click on the cockroaches. And then you'll be taken to the next sheet that I'll show everybody in a second here. And I think I want this major, I think I want to do away with the other bugs, random miscellaneous stuff. Having it broken down by, okay, you got roaches, you got beetles, you've got Collembola, and of course I'm probably going to swap these, so Blatodia will be, the Latin for stuff will be the higher category, and then the common name for that group will be beneath it. And that'll be for everything. I want to look at Zoraptorans. Oh, they have angel insects. I want to go and see if I can sort through the angel insects and find one that's 50 millimeters long and blue and found in Africa or something. So that's, these are just all, I know these look pretty sus, but these are just all to show that there would be multiple categories all the way down. What was that? What else was I going to say? So everything should have a sort function. Not everything's going to need it though, and that's why I'll show you guys the next thing. So anyway, so Chris, this is the bread and butter. The bread was the search function, basically prioritizing the categories on the species pages that are Latin name, locality name, strain name, common name. The search function prioritizing the species pages and not blog posts or miscellaneous other parts of the website, that you can type something into the search thing and it will take you to, let me search for genus Gronfodorina, and you'll type that in and you'll get every single species page that has Gronfodorina as the Latin name, or that is, and then after that mentioned somewhere on the website. So for Elliptorina, I might say, the flavor text for Elliptorina might say, can be kept like Gronfodorina, blah, blah, blah. So it would also pull that up. And then finally at the bottom of everything, it would pull up blog posts or whatever I end up doing with that format in the future. I'm not sure exactly how I want blog posts, updates, etc. to return yet. That's small fries compared to search function and this categorization stuff. So with that being said, let's say I'll take a second to read what people are saying. Do you know where to find like nutritional profiles for feeders? When I look from nutritional labels, I see a different number for every brand. No, I have no idea. doubleds.org. If you use the Wayback Machine, they had some of that information for some feeder insects on that website. A lot of it depends on how stuff's raised. I don't know if they clear out the specimens before they do those nutritional analyses, because if you fed a bunch of bugs cat food and then you ground them up and you did a nutritional analysis, you would see that they have more protein than if you fed them a bunch of carrots before you did that. So some of it's kind of arbitrary. Some of it you can kind of glean from talking to people. For example, I think roaches are usually higher in fat and protein than crickets are. I think maybe crickets are higher in like calcium and something else. So it's just kind of, it's just sort of like that. I don't think that information may one day be published in a small amount on roach crossing for some common feeder species. That day will not be for a while. I need to get the building built and I need to work on some other larger scale projects that I want to do before I can look into funding a nutritional assessment of 20 different feeder roaches. So a person says, I'm excited to have a bug site that isn't just a carbon copy of a free store format. Yeah, that's where part of the magic is going to lie. Nothing wrong with the free store formats and stuff like that, but I'm trying to go a different route here with the presentation and what I've really wanted to do. I'm trying to catch what I've told Chris is a weird mismatch of a couple of things from my beginning bug keeping career, which is blabberous.com, the old blabberous.com, going on there and seeing the picture and then the availability and the little description and all this stuff, the wonders and awes that I had going on that website. I want to catch some of that. I want some of the old bugs in cyberspace feeling when, no offense, Peter, if you ever happen to watch some of these, but I feel like the site's a little bit less navigatable now. I want some of that older feeling. I want some of the old feeling of the old roach crossing page, where it was just one big page with all the feeders, all the everything listed on an individual page with just infinite scroll. And finally, I want sort of that cleaner, Ward scientific kind of vibe, which again is very important if you have people trying to find something very specific that they need for something very specific. This is not the site's not going to look like trash, but it's not. I'm not trying to wow you guys with my view our beautiful vivariums, and you click on the page and there's like a big banner of a well-planted viv, and then the TOS pops up, and then you have to click again, and then you get the start page where it's like, we've been doing blah blah blah, and check out our Instagram feed and our tanks and all this stuff, and you're like, by the time you've clicked like 4 or 5 times, you're like, okay, how do I buy something? And then you go to buy something and there's like 3 things for sale. I want to avoid that at all costs. I want this to be very database-like, and I feel like that's how I've set it up. What if there's room for localization in the future? Translation. I mean, Google Translate will do it. Google Translate you can, for free, just translate basically a whole website. So I'm not too concerned about that. As much as I would like to open up the website to non-English speaking individuals and places, I'm not about that right now. That's too much of another thing that's out of my bailiwick and blah, blah, blah. And there's enough tools available to people in our globalized world that somebody can find a way to do that more easily. Random question I had pop into my head earlier, but is there a hobby strain of pure Dice Roaches from before the acquisition of Banana Base? Nothing labeled, unless somebody kept track of the ones that I got from that person who used to be a porn star who raised reptiles in Las Vegas. I can't remember what her name was, but she sent me a colony of Discoids in like 2010 or 11 that she had never added to, and she just acquired in the distant past. And I don't think I ever labeled it separately, and I'm not sure if I actually ever sold that many of them. So, but I did acquire, this is not the same person. I must emphasize, this is a completely different person. I did acquire some stock a couple, like maybe a month ago. These are going to go on the website. We're working on finding out more information, but this is stock that I acquired a couple of weeks or like months ago from Kelly Valentine, who has since left bug keeping, I believe. It's an interesting detail on the porn star thing, because that's how I remember that whole thing, that whole situation, that stock was unique, was that. So, but anyways, this is the Kelly Valentine is not that person. Neither is Carrie Goldsborough. The person who sent these to me is working on seeing if they can get back in touch with Kelly Valentine so they can find out what college they came from. So that would become the strain name. Otherwise, I'm forced to use Kelly Valentine, and I really don't want to do that. I would prefer to have the college that they were acquired from. So, I mean, I guess this is a non-locality strain of these. Again, it's another story with, my professor collected them when they were into Central America or whatever. So we don't know where exactly they came from, but if we can at least get the college, what college they came from. I could even attempt to trace the line at the college, although I know they may not maintain it anymore. A lot of that's happened in the last 10 years. A lot of universities have lost or stopped maintaining their roach colonies. So, right now this is about it. Yeah. So, with that being said, moving on. So again, you go to the for sale, you see your options. Maybe I'll put silverfish ahead of isopods, actually. Don't mind my hands, they're just dry. Last night I was trying to clear the drains out, and hands are wet, and then they were dry, wet and dry, hot heat. I like to put my hands up near the vents on the car and blast the heat, and that was a poor idea because it dried out all my skin, so my hands are kind of gross right now. But anyway, so let's say you click on roaches. You've come to Roach Crossing and you click on the cockroach's little rectangle thing here. You are then taken to the sort page, which will be hopefully like this. So we have several options for like your basic newbie person who this is not all the categories. This is just to give an idea. So, but here you have your sort by. So you what did I say? Maybe checkbox for sort fields wanted. So let's say you you only care about something. You only care about airflow. You say, I hate ventilation. I only want roaches that want low airflow. So you would tick this box here, and from the drop down, you'd select low, and it would pull up beneath here all the roaches that I've said want low airflow. And that would all come up here. And then let's say you go a step further. You say, I only want roaches that want low airflow that have no cold resistance. I want them to die if it drops. If there's a freeze, I want them all to die. Then you would click the box for cold resistance. You'd go to the little drop down and you'd select little to no cold tolerance. And since you already had the airflow ticked here and you selected low, this would then filter out all the low airflow roaches that have cold tolerance. So you can see how you could do this to whittle away to what you wanted. Again, you want a low airflow roach, no cold resistance. That's purple with nymphs that has a medium adult size, blah, blah, blah. And you would eventually whittle away from this, which would be the big old long list of every single roach. And I haven't decided. I'm going to probably pester. I really want to pester Chris to make it so that this is a full page of a list. That might be very resource intensive on the website. I'm not sure. But, or maybe there'll be page numbers. So you go to page 2 and you can leave all these fields unsorted and you can just go through the full list of roaches unadulterated. But yeah, so this would generate with your inputs what you wanted based on my categorization down here. So there would be a basic set of sort by, which would be stuff like, again, Latin name. It would sort the whole list alphabetically. Locality, it would show you all stuff that has locality information, blah, blah, blah. Color is another one that might be here. Let's say, I only want to look at the green roaches. I don't care about any of the other ones. You could select and just color green, pink, tan, brown, blah, 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 and you could just pick green. And then all the green roaches would show up down here. So there would be basic options here that are stuff like that I think the average person looking at roaches, I want to know if there's any red cockroaches. I don't know if there's any red ones. And so they could put that in here. I'm going to pull up my sort categories list really quick. So this is where your, the basic search would be sorting by adult size, climbing, flying, day activity levels, prominent adult color, whether it's a hisser, whether it's recommended for handling, etc., etc. Those are all things that you could sort by with just the basic sort functions. You go over here, you could click the box for advanced sort functions and just ignore what's here. So the idea is that the basic sort functions would just be all this stuff here. You could click the advanced sort functions and pull up even more beneath them, and that would allow you to add the additional categories, for those really hardcore people. Time from birth to adulthood, adult lifespan, gestation, incubation, specific climbing abilities. Is it the nymphs that climb? Is it the adults that climb? Is it only the adult males, etc.? Mode of birth, heating preferences, airflow, air humidity, substrate humidity, minimum substrate depth, burrowing behavior, prominent nymph color, Florida legal, cold resistance, space required for a sustaining colony, willingness to fly, household infestation potential, diapause requirements, the continent they're found on. That's all your advanced sort functions that you could, if you're like, boy, I am a huge roach enthusiast. I sure wish that I could find all this information more easily. You just tick the little box that says advanced sort by. you pull up the additional features either here or by the side. I don't know exactly. Again, that's just a design thing, where it's going to be on here. And then you can itemize, and you can narrow in on exactly what you want to your heart's content. Let's see. Optional pagination. Yeah, I'll ask Chris about that if we can do that. If you could, when you get on the page, you could have a little tick box that says, what did I just call infinite scroll mode, and then you can press the box for if you want infinite scroll. I don't know what the default should be. Maybe the default should probably be pages, probably. So there would be a little box near the top of everything that just says infinite scroll or infinite list or whatever, and then it would probably refresh the page and show all the results on one page. So Satchel, I haven't had the Kelly Valentine stock long enough to see if there's anything unique about them. I'll have to see when I get my first individuals. Elsie says, my skunk roach is doing a lot better. I've been keeping their humidity at 65 and their heat at 70 to 75. Yes, I think I can't remember what your issue was, if it was too much or too little ventilation, but it's good to hear that they're doing better. Circus says, will you have like an X out option? Like, for example, you want a roach without no cold resistance, but want everything else. I think that's a little bit much, but I need to sit and think about the implications of that, because what if you're like, well, I'm thinking about a roach for this enclosure, but I only want to look at the brown and the yellow roaches. Then in the drop down, you could select both brown and yellow, and it would generate a list. But I think that might require, I'll ask Chris about it, but I think that might require a lot more work than just having everything be sortable into a couple of categories per thing. So again, another thing that I've already done is categorize roaches. So you want a microscopic roach, there's a size range for that. You want a tiny roach, there's a size range for that. The information with the exact numbers is available on the website, but there are broad categories to help you get down to what you want. But I can understand there may be some people that might be like, I don't want any roaches that are over 20 millimeters. Over 20 millimeters too big. I just want to look at the roaches that are below 20 millimeters, or as I have it listed as like the micro, tiny, and small categories. So I can see how having being able to sort by multiple things would be good. But Chris, if you're listening, or when you get to listening, let me know what you think about that, because it is a good idea, but it also sounds, from even with my lack of programming knowledge, etc., it does sound like a bit much. Maybe you can have a MISC section like inclined plastic or like specific needs. Circa, that's all wrapped into this. That is already sortable here. And then again, there's some binaries. For example, if you say, I don't want climbing roaches. I don't like climbing roaches. Well, you can pick non-climbing. You can select that from the drop down. No climbing, none at all. Can't climb, no life stage, etc. There's all your roaches. But then you could click, okay, I'm okay with some climbing, etc. You click, you click yes to climbers, and then in the advanced functions, it'll tell you whether, it's just the adult males. You can sort by just the adult males that climb. All life stages cannot climb. Only adult males can climb. Only adults of both sexes can climb. Adults of both sexes and some nymphs can climb, and all life stages can climb. Then you can get really nitty gritty there with the sort stuff, and that's again an advanced feature. But the majority of people, not the majority, there will be a lot of new customers. There will be a lot of cross hobby customers who will just be hopping into roaches, and they don't need or want all that extra information. is, oh, I don't like the idea of them climbing. Maybe, hey, give them some time. Maybe they keep some Blabberus, they keep some Blaptica, and then they decide, oh, I'm feeling more confident. I start to look at the climbing species now, and then they can do so. Defaulted to pages helps combat scrolling on your website forever. I don't want to combat scrolling on my website forever, though. I want you guys to read every little piece of text and thing there, and get those numbers up for SEO optimization and all that other jazz. So, why does every modern site default to the most intensive option? I don't know. It did take me a lot of time and work to develop these categories and to get that information put in the Excel sheet. So some of it might be they don't have time to dichotomize them. They don't have the brain power. They don't have the this. They don't have that. I don't know. Or maybe they think that people like having a bunch of stuff thrown at them, which sometimes people do. Like your house is always warm. You specifically hate the color brown. Maybe you can have a custom size range, like you can input millimeters. Yeah, I don't know anything about programming. See, that's the thing. All that information is there, but it's a bit much, and it is overwhelming if you when you have the option to, oh, let me sort by the adult size. So you see your little drop down that's available to everybody right off the bat, and you say, well, I need something that's micro. The size range is 1 to 10 millimeters. That tells you all that stuff. That you want something that's 1 to 10 millimeters. You select the micro option. The information is right there, but it's easier to give everything categories and have a smaller number of categories with the information on the pages for people to dive into if they want it, than it is to, like, if you sit down, you're like, oh, I have my dart frogs. I want to buy some feeders for my dart frogs. I need them in the 3 to 11 millimeter range. There's maybe like one person who will do that and be willing to sit down and type that in to get to that information. But there's dozens of people who will click for binary options and be like, okay, micro, okay. I know micro feeders. I know what micro things are. And they'll click that option, then they can go to the page and they can say, oh yeah, I think 9 millimeters is too big. The species thing says right there that this is 9 millimeters. I think that's too big for my frogs. And it says here that the babies are 5 millimeters. That's too big for my frogs. Let me look for a smaller option. So that information is going to be on the pages, but again, with sorting stuff, it's gotta be a little bit quicker and easier with that. Someone wants a Roach to specifically 7 to 15 millimeters. Again, the information's all there, and it is diced up into parts, but it's giving you the option to search specifically for a size range seems a little too spoon feed-y to me. And again, I don't want Chris to be working on this for years. This will hopefully be done within months at this point. We're technically already behind, but this is ending up to be a very intensive process. So a person's circa YouTube chat is built in such a way that splitting things into many messages makes everything else hard to see. Would it be possible to condense things a bit? All right, PSA there. Thanks for that. Anyways, so this is the direction things are heading in, unless we hit some sort of brick wall, which I'm not really anticipating. I'm not sure if I showed these off before. Again, these are just my poorly drawn schematics of stuff, but this is the direction, and the most important stuff for the website is getting this functional. I know that adding additional pages with, I'm Kyle Candillian, and I own Roach Crossing, and blah, 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 and even a contact us page with a automatic fill out form, or, fill in this space here, write your order here, and click submit, and it'll send an email to us to take your order. That stuff I know is easy. They've been doing that since like 2000, since like the year 2000 on websites. That's nothing. This is probably nothing compared to some of the stuff that some websites do with pulling real-time data and all this stuff. So I'm not worrying about, oh, well, I should really work on what am I going to put on my About Us or our More About Me pages or whatever, or my homepage. I should really think about my homepage. That's like, you can change that anytime. There's like nothing you need to do for that unless I decide to tell Chris, all right, Chris, I want on my homepage, I want an automatic updating GPS location of where I am in my house. I want it updated every 36 seconds. I want an update. I want a flashing beam on the front page that says when we're live streaming, and it's got to take up the whole page. It's going to have a pop-up come up that says, like, we're live streaming right now. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and blah, blah, blah. I don't want any of that. That is nowhere near what I want to do. I just want a homepage that says, this is what I do. Go here to do this. Go here to do that. Here's my socials type stuff. And just realize I'm getting really worked up. Everything's all shaking. 3 for Chris. Chris, for your third question. You're going to assume that I want to do a regular blog. Do we preserve the WordPress interface for that? Do you prefer to upload a file somewhere? Do you just want a number that you can text and update to? What do you envision that looking like going forward? Making me think here, because being able to text to a number and the number automatically adding a blog post is does sound cool, but then again, that's basically what social media is for. So it's a bit redundant, especially if I am looking into the Instagram or whatever that everybody's using by the time I get off my butt and the site is up and going and I have the building, etc. There may be a new social media thing that people are all the rage about. So I don't see a need to be able to do something like that, because a social media platform will emerge or will continue, and I can use that. What I like about the WordPress blog interface is the only things I like about it. It allows me to schedule blog posts in advance. I love that, because when I'm in a good groove, I can sit down for an hour and write out some blog stuff and then have it update over the course of a week, and I can give people content in that form. So I like the fact that the WordPress interface currently allows me to schedule blog posts ahead of time. I really like that. I really don't care about much else in terms of the formatting of the blogs. I just want to have a title. It would be nice to have the date when it's put up there, so people can see if it was some crazy thing that I thought of 5 years ago, and then 5 years in the future, check in and nope, didn't work, or oh yeah, it did. Like I forgot to update. It was so successful, whatever I did, that I didn't even need to update about it. I just need basic text formatting, just being able to bold things, to italicize things, to underline things, to link to other web pages. Again, this is all very basic stuff, but I'm just saying what I need to do. It is also nice to be able to put images in the blog posts, and moving into the future, it would be nice to be able to, I don't know if it's embedding, I don't know if it's just linking to videos or linking to Instagram posts or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It would be nice to have some way of, to have the blog publishing whatever in a format that allows me to embed videos or put videos and pictures, blah, 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 in them. And that's it. I don't need anything more than basically that stuff for blogs. And I think I'm okay with doing that on the interface that the website is being done on. For example, I don't think for that I want to, okay, where I have a folder on my desktop, and it's going to be for my blog post, and I'm going to put a Microsoft Word file in there, and every time I update I put the Microsoft Word file in there, and I have to label it by the date, and I have to label it by the title of the blog post, and I want to pull that to the website automatically. I don't like that for blog posty type stuff. I think I just wanted to be on the interface, so I just hop on, put in that information manually, or it automatically puts it in, and then I have to correct the dates if it's going to be a blog post I want published 3 days from now. So I do like the fact that it's part of the WordPress stuff that I'm doing, and having this be functional and perfect off the bat is extremely low priority. Life has a very high chance of getting very busy and very chaotic within the next year, possibly within the next 6 months. And Angela and I have a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to try and avoid talking about it on the vacation, but we're going to have so much time in the car, we're probably going to end up talking about it. There's a lot of stuff that could happen relatively quickly, just in general, with selling my house, with moving possibly to her property, with getting a building built and all this stuff. It's very likely it will be like a mudslide or like a mudslide, where there will be a little bit of give in something, and all of a sudden everything else is just going to follow pretty rapid suit after that happens. So keeping everybody up to date with blog posts and stuff like that, unfortunately, is going to be a lower priority than keeping the wiggle going, doing the auctions, and getting the website to where I want it to be upon or soon after release, with respect to the search function and the category, the search function, the search engine, whatever it's called, and being able to sort through different bugs by those categories. So, blogs will return on the new website at some point, and very low tech is fine with me. That's that. Okay, and Kristen, give me any other questions. He didn't have a 4. I asked him for the 5 most important questions that he has about my direction for the site and stuff like that, and he gave me 3 good ones, and 4 and 5 he was asking me to come up with something interesting. So I don't have anything else to say, really. Again, I had brought this up to people before. Elsie, which scrub roach? And this is another thing. There is going to be a big shift on the site from common names to Latin names. I always prefer Latin names. Latin names are identifications of things do change. Things get split. Things get lumped over time, etc. But that's why the information for, this is what we used to call this particular entity. And at the end of the day, everything is going to have an internal ID on the website too. So the roach that's labeled in the Roach Crossing collection as RC31 doesn't matter. We find out, we were selling those as Blabberus for 20 years, and then we actually found out it was a different genus. It's Hypoblabberus, and it's this other species of that. That page will always be RC31, whatever the ID number, etc. is. And when there are updates to what stock is, there will be an update to past names, past nomenclature on the page as well. We're figuring, LC, we're figuring out Eurycotis opaca now, and it seems to be that unlike Floridana and Lixa and Improcera, they're probably quite, not that they're dry intolerant, but they like their air to be kind of humid. So they don't do well if you shove them in a non-ventilated tote. They will not do well like that, but they don't want a full screen top enclosure either. It seems like they just sort of want a nice mugginess to the air, maybe just a blush of condensation on the back of the enclosure, especially if it's warm. And so we're having more success with Uricotis opaca now. And Soroa and Jaruco will probably be on the new Roach Crossing site for purchase soon after it goes live. Behijiger, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your username. I'd like to be able to hear audio clips of those things that make sound on their respective pages. That should not be difficult to do. And that will be important for selling things like Grylus. I don't know if I'll ever go to the lengths to record hissing cockroach noises, but that will be in the, and it's as simple as getting like an audio file and then embedding the audio file on the website. And I have done that before in the past for like past hobby interest websites I've done. So that's not difficult, and that's an afterthought for me. That's like, oh hey, when I got the building and I've got some time, and it's the dead of winter and I'm bored or something, I'll be like, I never did get recordings of that Grylus CF firmus from Fort Morgan, Alabama. Maybe I'll sit with my my iPhone for 3 minutes and record next to the enclosure, and that's when that would come about. But I like that idea, and Behijiger, that should be implemented at some point. Tennyson knew what Tarragonas were called. Let me. It's not. I haven't even gone through. I asked the American Myriapod and blah 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 group that I'm supposed to be a part of for updates to the names and stuff, and I can't remember if they actually put the actual name for Tarragonas. Do you want me to ask Benny? Again, I have that information in a Discord group for like the Myriapod or Isopod working, blah blah blah. But it is my responsibility to take it from the Discord conversation and then update my master Isopod lists. I have not done that yet. The last major thing I did was get the other non-Isopod bugs updated, and that's enough for now. I'm tired of putting stuff into Excel sheets. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, Excel sheets. So, by a person, you could just post it here for Chain, because Chain did ask very politely. They could have also taken back the ID. That's happened on a couple of things. Nathan is cutting teeth on some of the Isopod IDs, like telling me that the CF Trichorhina from Puerto Rico were undescribed, and then went to, they're actually not undescribed, and it's actually a different genus, and it's actually a different, I think it was ended up being a different subfamily or family, and that's the Carabi, how do I spell it? Carabosia? Was it like Carlosi or something? They were already described. But anyways, so again, Chris, if you're listening, I again don't mind shedding the shell of WordPress. If in the future, if on the new website we end up with the same site that I have now, but we decide, we want a vertical nav bar instead of a horizontal one at the top. We want a vertical nav bar where the blogs are currently on Roach Crossing. If the site ended up looking pretty much identical to how the homepage does now, and again, pretty much the same with just the spread of, I want to look at the terms and conditions. I want to look at the using the site page. I want to look at the for sale stuff. All that stuff was just in a nav bar on the side of vertical nav bar, and the rest of those site looked the same with a nice nice updated Roach Crossing logo. We're going to get an updated logo for the new website release. And a nice, I do like the idea of putting pictures of places I found roaches at the top. I will probably continue that, or places that I've gone to and have seen roaches. I think I want to keep that. It does give a nice, it gives a little bit, it's a nice touch to the site, and I like that. So that's probably something that I would want to keep, with the Roach logo at the top and the banner, the Roach Enthusiast store, Cockroach Enthusiast store. that jazz. I would be happy. Again, I told people that, hey, I know you guys are donating money for me to update the site and all this stuff, but don't be surprised if the overhaul happens. You go to the website and you're like, it looks like basically the same. Like the nav bar is on the left now, but it's like the same blue. There's the same picture for the banner, or there's a different picture for the banner, but there's a different picture for the logo, but it looks basically the same. Just looks like some of the assets were changed. I was telling people, don't be disappointed, because that's not the focus. That's not the overhaul. That's not the meat and potatoes here. That's the little piece of kale they put on next to the piece of steak on your plate. The big thing is this revitalizing the search function and this categorical searching stuff. And of course, this is going to look different. There's probably not going to be a drop down for the for sale. It's going to be the clickable buttons or whatever. So, but again, the overhaul is not as if it's going to look completely different. Oh, it's neon now, and there's these little things I can click on all on the banner, and it's interactive real time and blah blah blah. I have never wanted any of that. Reminds me of the brief moment species dream were thought to be Dryadillo. Benny had no idea about Tarragon. I gotta ask Nathan. Yeah, Nathan or Tennyson. I can't remember what the genus for the dreams were. Although I can say mine are finally doing well. They wanted more humidity, and the Porcellio magnificus were kind of out competing them, or at least under the conditions I was keeping both of them in. So I have exhumed the Porcellio magnificus that were in with my dreams, and they are doing quite well. Again, hard to say. Maybe it was the bump in humidity that made them start doing better, or maybe it was removing the magnificus. I don't know. So yeah, everybody. Chris, when you listen, I hope that answers a lot of questions, and thanks for listening to the whole thing through just for that information that maybe I could have just told you over the phone or something. But I did get to go on a bit of a rant, so maybe that gives you more. Maybe that gives you what you need to continue progressing. Dreams are Spherillo. Okay, thank you. A person, Spherillo species dream. That will obviously be updated for the website. So, before we wrap up this stream, which has been surprisingly long, does anybody have any questions or comments, etc.? Any thoughts? Any new fun projects? Anything? How are the Nyctibora doing? Am I seeing blue in the video short? The Nyctibora ooths never hatched. That's the end of that story. And I tried to get Ben to go out and find more. And he did go to the site that he collected them at before and didn't find any. He did find a bunch of really cool unidentified. I think Alan maybe said they were undescribed millipedes. So he found a bunch of millipedes. And he did send me those. And they're still alive. That's all I'm hoping for with these. We have no idea what they are. I have no idea how to keep them. And both my ooths and the ones that I sent to TJ just didn't do anything. I even wonder if they were infertile, although Nyctibora are supposed to have very long ooths that take a long time to hatch. I wonder if maybe, even though they're from Arizona, maybe they had gotten too dry at some point during the winter. Maybe they got too moist. I have no metric to go off of with them. Just that eventually I opened them up and there was some foul smell to them, but they remained intact and in good shape the whole time that I had them. So that's where that ends for now. But we know where they were found, and I'm good chance I'm going to go to the Santa Ritas this summer. When I do the Arizona trip, I'm going. I just don't know the details. It may be as little as, hey, I'm just going to fly out there for 5 days and hang out with Kim and then leave with Angela. it could be more than that. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm not thinking about it because I still have to finish planning the Florida trip, and I still have to get through my vacation, so I'm not going to think about it. But Ben does go to that spot pretty frequently, so if there's more, he'd find them, and more likely to find them than me finding them too. Me just going on a random day there. And that's just kind of how things are in parts of Arizona. So hopefully he finds more. Hopefully it wasn't, oh, we only had females and they were both virgins, you know. We'll see. Light Blatel Lucafrons Oots have not done anything. And I've been doing like, okay, we'll try hydrating them for 3 weeks. All right, now we'll let them dry out. Okay, we'll try hydrating them for 3 weeks. Okay, we'll let them dry out. And nothing. Exotic Wilderness is picking up some bugs from Angela's place, actually. Elsie, how hard are Harlequin roaches? They're easy now that we figured out what they want, and maybe this new strain is also easier. I'm more skeptical of that, more of, oh, we were just killing them slowly before. So I have Rhombifolia, Neostylopiga rhombifolia on the new website is listed as a ease of culturing is listed as intermediate because they do still want a substrate. You could keep them. You can keep a lot of things, even things that like a lot of moisture. You could just keep them too moist without any ventilation, and then they'll just rot. So it's not as easy as like, oh, I want to breed Periplaneta americana, and it's like, okay, throw them in a bin and feed them. That's it. So they're listed as intermediate, but they're not difficult at all. They just want high humidity, and they probably don't want to be too cold either. Would this be a good time of year to try to find them at Pina Blanca? Probably not. It's cold. Arizona's cold at this time of year, which is like, well, maybe they just wanted to be cool, but it's a Central American species, or seems to be one of two Central American species, but also they're found in more kind of, seems like more montane areas, but not everything you find in mountainous areas needs to be cooled, blah, blah, blah. Exotic Wilderness, I have not seen the pink slime mold again, but when Jules and Kai and I went and collected wood from Jules's neighbor's mulch pile, and by pile it's a mountain. He's used to do landscaping or still does landscaping here and there, and he dumps the mulch on his property. It's literally just like quarter acre, maybe more, of just a mulch pile that like at its tallest is like 15-20 feet above the surrounding terrain. So good for me and all the beetles I'm keeping now. But anyways, we collected wood from there. I sterilized it. I threw it into a tub to sort of age for a bit or just settle for a bit after being temperature treated. And all of a sudden, the whole top of the substrate molded over with a fluffy pink mold that looks like that blow-in insulation for like your attics. And that stuff is I've never seen that before in my entire life in any of my bins, anywhere out in nature, anywhere. I've never seen that before. And now it's popping up in like miscellaneous fresh bins of like sawdust and stuff that I've set up in the basement. I made some fresh Rosorotypus cultures the other day, and it could have been 3-4 days later, and this mystery pink fungus with the little stalks that have the spores or whatever on them are black also, and it's all over now. So I don't have that. The pink slime mold has not showed up. I'm actually not seeing much of the dog vomit one this year. Maybe there'll be more popping up later in the winter. But this new pink fungus is all over the place. Doesn't seem to be harmful for anything. I think maybe it's just a heat tolerant species or something that was in that big mulch pile. and now it's in my basement. Pink mold on wood. Let's see. This is not getting me what I want. Oh, wait a minute here. Here's a post from the Firewood Reddit that has something that looks very similar to what I'm seeing. And I know it's mold, and I know that it, you didn't do a spore print, and you didn't blah, blah, blah. But this is very similar. I'm going to post it here. Again, from a Reddit thread. That looks very similar to this stuff that I'm seeing on the wood that I sterilized. And again, it's only growing on heavily woody products. And it does not irritate my allergies either. Which, it would be funny if somebody came to test this house for mold and tested negative. I wonder if andrognathids would eat it. Andrognathids. Oh, Geodesmus. Yeah, I don't know. It seems a bit fluffy for them, though. Gosodesmus, sorry. I didn't see Lixa. Some red leg roaches, though. Schnoptera are found in the Keys, but it was only one Lixa. We also... I have been... I did a deep dive one of those days. I was working on the roaches into some stuff, and there's I think there's a reasonable possibility that our Lixa are not actually Lixa, that they're another species based on the holotype for Lixa, based on the proportions and the size and the color of the specimen. The color is not very reliable, especially specimens, they age and they get discolored and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to try and bombard a dead Lixa adult with some UV over the summer, try and get it outside somewhere where the UV can just hit it and break it down. And by the end of the summer, if it's still black and not a purplish red color, I think that's because the holotype is dehydrated for Lixa, actual Lixa, and it's like purplish, and that's not a color that I've ever seen on an adult, even a dead rotting specimen or a partially eaten specimen, whatever, the old pronotum bits in the substrate of Lixa. I've never seen any of them ever approach that purplish color that the holotype of Lixa does. And if I recall, the length from the tip of the pronotum to the end of the abdomen, even though it's a desiccated specimen, is only about 26 millimeters, which is much smaller than living Lixa are. And again, the abdomen could have shrunk from being dried for so long. But I'm a little bit skeptical based on seeing the specimen. And also, Lixa are not recorded from Marathon, Florida. The specimens that were found were in Key West in a hedgerow or something. And so Lixa actually may not even be in the Keys anymore if our specimens aren't Lixa. From INAT, I know INAT is INAT and specimens can be misidentified and blah, blah, blah. Our Lixa resemble more the Pluto and other very black species that are on there from Central America more than they resemble the holotype. Again, discoloration, distortion of size, blah, blah, blah. But I'm definitely skeptical now. All right. Anybody have any more questions or anything before we wrap up this, again, surprisingly long live stream? I'm going to keep looking to see if there's any pictures of that mold. Pink mold. It's dangerous. Blah, blah, blah. Anybody got any thoughts or things to share? I'm looking at some pictures of aspergillus, and it's not really looking like this stuff that I've got. Pink fuzzy mold on wood. Let's see again. This could maybe get us something. It's not really fuzzy, it's fluffy. Pink fluffy mold. Again, it looks exactly like insulation. Culture, pink mold. This could be it. Here's a picture on Flickr by Zach Quinn. But it's not identified. So, anyways, that's my TED Talk on mold, on unknown mold. Holotype of Lixa. The holotype was collected off of a boat that came from Jamaica. So they were not confirmed to be from there, but they were found in the cargo with stuff that came from Jamaica, from what I read. And again, the measurements just seem kind of off, just seem too small compared to our what we have from the Keys. So, but the big thing is, I'm curious, putting the specimens, exposing them to UV to try and break down the color faster. Because if after a summer in the sun, our Lixa specimens are still shiny black, deceased obviously. If they're still shiny black and they're dehydrated and they're not in the 26 millimeter range, if they're in like the 32, 34, 36 millimeter range when desiccated, that means there's a pretty big size difference between the species that we found in the Keys and what Lixa is based on the holotype. Any tips for banana roach to keep them in a 10 gallon with most of the screen color recovered by plastic eco-earth for substrate? Haven't reached the massive writhing colony. What species of banana roaches? Jonathan? Jack? Is it species? Probably matters here. What are you eating tonight, Kyle? Oh, I wish I knew that. I wish I knew what I was eating tonight. I already had a salad. I might have another salad. I had a nice deluxe grilled cheese this morning. I had a seeded rye bread cooked in bacon grease with mozzarella cheese and bacon, and it was very good, very delicious. Hobby, okay. I'm finding more and more over time, and the thing is sort of clicked when I collected the ones from Little Manatee, collected the panchlorate from there. Wood. A lot of panchlora, especially species Hobby and Nevea and species Redlands. Wood in the substrate. A good wood component seems to be important to getting them into good condition. And I flail wildly because it seems like sometimes I can put a handful of hydrated wood pellets into the colony, and that does the trick. And then sometimes I'll do that, and the colony will still kind of be on the decline. But it's easiest to collect panchlora in wood, again, in the wild. All the stuff that I found in Florida, etc. You can break apart wood and you'll find the nymphs burrowed into it and adults sitting in it and stuff. So I would say try offering some of that to the colony. When I started mine, this is another thing. They did really well in one of my old hexagonal containers. And I was just like, oh boy, these things eat anything. They're doing so well, etc. And I think I put them on a base of coconut fiber with the sphagnum moss, the whole fancy mix, etc. But I had cypress mulch as the top layer. So, and then it was like, oh darn, why are my banana roaches not doing so well? I should do a enclosure overhaul. which involves replacing everything, including the wood component. So that's my suggestion, is find a way to offer them some wood. Maybe try just the hydrated grilling / heating pellets. Maybe if you got extra on hand, get some of that nice good white rot, crumble it up and put it in there. I would crumble it up and sort of mix it or leave it as sort of a layer on top of the substrate. And they don't always like to be humid either. I think most of my Panchlora right now, except for species Guadalupe and maybe species Giant, I can't recall, do not have polycarb lids. They're just open to the dry air of the basement, and pretty much all the Panchlora are doing well now, except for species Costa Rica Yellow. Except for those. Pretty much everything else is doing really well right now, and I just got Guadalupe's, so I'm not sure how well they're going to... I don't know. I failed with them once already. Failed with them twice already, actually. So I don't know how that could end up. So, with that being said, unless there are any more questions, everybody, I think I'm going to wrap it up for the night. Again, this may have been our last Roach Wiggle for some time. Next week, I'm still going to be on vacation. Thank God. And the following week, I may devote to doing a one-on-one call or stream or something with Chris, so we can continue with the momentum on the site work. And worst and best case scenario, I really feel like maybe the site would go live after I basically right before I took off for the Florida trip in the spring. But I really want to have it done, or at least up, before the next auction, so that information is up there for people to go and look at. So thank you, Roach King. You mentioned when you're shipping auction boxes, everything that's been paid for, unless we talked about it. There were some people who wanted postponed shipping, or they said, I get paid on this day, I'll send it to you then, blah, blah. Everything is going out this upcoming Monday for auction stuff, unless it's not paid for or unless we've discussed otherwise. So January 22nd rolls around, USPS click and ship, etc. Check your spam, check your trash for the tracking information, because I will not be able to send it while I'm on vacation, obviously. So all right, everybody, I'll see you all in, could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks. Survive the dead of the winter, won't you? So we may all get to what is hopefully going to be an early spring. And may your cultures ever be bountiful. Good night, everybody.